everybody. Welcome to the Fire Chat podcast. Today on the show, I have Mr. Mike Driever joining us from all the way out in the desert land. Mike, say hi to everybody.
Well, hello.
So Mike has been a longtime member of the Inland Empire Club. He's been coming to the Fire Center for a couple of years now. And I know you've been, I like to, for those of you that are new to the show, it's financial independence through real estate. So I like to get a little bit more of an idea of where people are coming from and what their backgrounds are like, and then kind of their hopes and aspirations in real estate. So, Mike, give us a little background. Like when did you get into, or when did real estate first pop up on your radar?
The first time I really got involved with real estate was probably in 1997.
Okay.
When the rental house I was living in was going up for sale, and I was being activated in the Air Force Reserves, and I wasn't ready to move my family, so I said, well, hey, why don't I, buy this house that I was renting.
Okay. And how did that go?
It went good. Luckily, I had the VA loan, so at that time, I had a family with 2 kids, and so we'd use the VA loan to get into that house. It was definitely a starter house.
Okay. So you were living there, they were renting it out, or you were renting it, and they offered you to buy it. So you bought it with the VA loan.
Yes.
Which was, I know it is now, but was it always a 0% down kind of thing? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yes,
really cool. I wish everybody had that. That's well, I guess everybody could get that. They just got to join up. Huh?
Yeah, just have to do some military service.
Yeah. So how long were you in the military for?
4 years active, and then altogether I stayed in the reserves. So I had 33 years when I retired from the reserves.
Right on. Which branch again?
Air Force.
Air Force. Cool. What did you? Were you stationed out here? Or?
A few places. I started. Training always starts in Texas for us in the Air Force, and then funny story. When you go, I was 17 when I signed up, and my dad had to prove it, and you think, oh, I'm going to go see the world, and then you're in basic training, and they say, okay, here's your dream sheet. List the top 3 places you want to go, and my top 3 were all back in California,
Yeah. Did you get any of them? Or?
No.
Yeah,
I ended up in South Dakota.
They probably don't even file that sheet, huh? They're just like this, like a feel-good thing.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Unless you're some admiral's son or something.
Yeah.
Then.
But hey, I did South Dakota, and then I did Alaska, and then I did come back to California after that.
Cool.
For my last year of the active duty.
Right on. What did you do in the military?
Security forces.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Right. So we need a bouncer.
Huh?
We need a bouncer. I've been looking to hire a bouncer. So. Security forces. What does that entail? If you can talk about it.
Yeah. No, it's at the time. It's gone back and forth through the years. I mean, when I went through law enforcement, security forces were 2 different fields, but we backed up each other all the time.
Okay.
Law enforcement was strictly law enforcement base.
It's like MP.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's all like right. MP on the base. Security forces, we actually guarded nuclear weapons, guarded the planes.
Cool.
Did all the field training on how to secure an airstrip, stuff like that.
Nice. Any wild stories of some crazy people trying to infiltrate a nuke base, or
no?
Probably can't even talk about it if it happened. Huh? So no. Right on. Well, so you bought your first house, but that was the first time you used the VA.
Yes.
Okay. Do you still have that house?
No. That's when 5 years later, well, not 5 years, 10 years later, that's when I was going to be activated in the. No, I'll take that back. I wrote notes so I could keep time frames down. But so we were in that house about 10 years, and then after owning it, and our family grew, so it was time to get a bigger house.
Gotcha.
So I was able to qualify for a conventional loan for a bigger house, while still planning on, and that's when it clicked. Well, I rented this house for 5 years or 10 years. I forget how many hours I rented it before I bought it. But so let's just rent this one out. Yeah. Because we were able to buy the other one without
the VA, yeah.
Yeah, without the VA.
Okay.
So that's when I became a landlord the first time.
Right on.
Is 1997.
Wait. So I thought you bought it in 97.
Yeah. So I bought it back in, let's see, got there in 86. We rented it for a few years. I was surprised on how long he. I mean, he was talking to advisors, so he was trying to sell it with after only like 2 or 3 years. Yeah, so I'm getting time frames.
Gotcha. Well, the dates aren't too important.
Yeah,
So you family grew. You went and got a conventional, so you didn't have to.
Yeah, so we were able to
You
hold
can only
on to
have
that
one
house.
VA at a time, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's the one kicker.
Because
right?
it has to be a primary residence. You have to live in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought you could still rent them out
After a year, you have to live in it for a year.
Okay, so it's like an FHA.
Yeah.
You know, but after that, then you're free to rent it out. But then you can't just go. Can you just go get another VA loan, or you can only have one VA loan at a time? Or?
You can have two. There's a max. I mean, there's a maximum of a VA loan lending that they'll give you, and if you can use it a second time to use what's left of it to get into another house, that would have to be your
I didn't know
primary.
That. I didn't know that.
That's just from my understanding.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a max.
That's
interesting.
I could be wrong on that, but because I didn't use it like that. I went conventional, and then now I have a VA again, but that was after going through a couple conventional.
Gotcha. All right, so you moved into the bigger house. You started renting out the first house.
That was the first time with no experience, just going.
How'd it go?
It was tough. We held on to it for 5 years. In 5 years, we went through 4 tenants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was it something up with the house, or?
The tenants.
Yeah.
And well, that was it. But I was again not knowing what I was doing. I wasn't getting enough rent.
Okay.
I had a first and a second on that house, so I was getting enough rent to pay the first, and I was paying the second still out of my own money. So yeah, after 5 years of doing that, it just drained us. So we had to.
Gotcha.
We had to give it up after 5 years.
So you ended up just selling you just sold it, wiped out the.
Let it go back to the bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it got that bad. Trying to didn't want to fail, but it failed.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, hey, it happens.
Yeah.
So then you still had the other house.
Still had the primary house that we were already growing into. We had that one, for 5 years. We'd already been living there. So just letting the second house go, it, hurt us for a few years.
Yeah.
But we were already set, luckily.
Okay. So then it sounded like you used the VA again later.
Later.
What was that for rent?
Refinancing.
Okay.
Yeah, because now that we're still in the house that we bought then.
Good.
Our first the second house, we still have it and still living in it.
Okay. So I guess my question then is, you became an accidental landlord. Didn't go too well.
Yeah.
And at what point did you? I mean, you're back.
Yeah.
So like what?
Well, and that's
what made you?
I had two successful careers in service. I was with the Riverside Sheriff's Department for 27 years.
Nice.
And then again, I stayed with the Air Force Reserve, so I basically worked 2 jobs, and so I got 2 pensions out of it.
Nice.
And so once I retired, that's when the real estate bug bought me. Kind of like because Robert Kiyosaki keeps saying, who stole your pension?
Yeah. It happens.
So I always try to plan ahead and be prepared. So I'm trying to use real estate now as a buffer for my pensions in case something ever happened to those.
Yeah.
It's a security.
Or
thing.
just even more on top of it.
Yeah.
Right on. I forgot you were a sheriff. I know you told me that before, but
yeah.
So you see, you do need a bouncer. You're perfect. So, what was it like? What was it like being a sheriff?
Oh, I loved it. It was great. Both. Reason I like them both is because both career fields, security forces. I did change over in the Air Force for like 5 years doing equal opportunity human resources to become an officer, and then I went back to security forces. But both because both jobs give you such a wide variety of opportunities.
Yeah.
Your activities, you're not doing one thing. I mean, yeah, you could try to stay in one thing, but I just enjoy the versatility of all the different job assignments you can work.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Were you like just on the beat as a sheriff all those years, or?
When I got hired, was it 1986, 87, they just opened up the new jail in Riverside. So most of us went straight there, sworn and non-sworn, deputy and correctional officer, both working side by side at the jails. So I worked there for I guess about 3.5 years in the jail before I went to patrol, and my first station was Lake Elsinore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were on patrol most of that time, or?
Yeah, until I promoted. And then 10 years later, when I promoted to sergeant, they put you back in the jail to supervise the jail for a while. Yeah, and then I did get back out on the street, and I worked Temecula as a supervisor.
Cool. Is that kind of like they put everybody through the same cycle, or?
Well, there's yes and no. I mean, because there's always special assignments you can request and do in the interim stuff. Crime prevention, community policing. And then they have the other POP teams, special operations teams, and of course, if you want to do EST, SWAT type stuff, I was never motivated that strong to get into that.
Yeah. I don't know if I went down that path. I don't know what I would want to do.
I've
heard patrolling can be. It's not like the TV shows.
The funnest part was the community policing part, crime prevention, community policing. That's where I had the best time.
Why was that?
Working with the community, actually getting out there and helping one specific area, community, going to the meetings, hearing the problems, and then actually being able to work up plans and deal with those problems that they're complaining about in their neighborhoods. I enjoyed doing that. Gotcha.
Probably a lot of the more direct. I mean, I think a lot of people that I'm not one of them, but I think a lot of people that want to become police officers or cops or sheriffs or whatever, they start off wanting to help. At least I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
But I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that there was outreach stuff that you could go and do that. That's cool.
And it changes through the years depending on funding. Everything takes a little funding, so some years are thinner than others, where they may have to cut back on some of the programs, and then the good ones we try to reinstitute when we can.
Gotcha. That's cool. So they were able to tell you, like, hey, there's some ruckus going on, over here, and you guys aren't responding.
Give us the suspicious information, then we'd follow up, to see if there was actually something going on, and if it could lead to a search warrant or lead to just more activity in the neighborhood, doing more traffic stops to see what's going on.
Gotcha. Right on. Cool. Would you, people looking out there maybe looking for a career, would you do it if you had to do it all over again? Would you do that one, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I was ready to retire when I retired, but
it's
definitely the career for me.
Right on. Cool. Right on. So you were in Elsinore most of that, or is that where you ended up?
That's where I started patrolling.
And then it was Temecula that you ended up in towards the end.
Yeah. Okay. With a stint at the training center, and then actually in Riverside admin, where I wrote grants for a year for the department.
Right on. So kind of pivoting back to real estate a little bit, like I would imagine that all those years being on patrol, you probably know these areas pretty well.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you say you look for those, to the overgrown grass and the cars broke down in front or parked in the street. And it's the same thing with law enforcement when you're trying to do crime prevention type stuff. Like you're looking at the broken window theory, look for that broken window.
Yeah. So in your real estate endeavors now, have you kind of channeled any of that, or?
Definitely. I have been as proactive as I could. That's part of my. I have 2 rental properties right now, and I've been doing this since 2017 is when I retired and started trying to getting into real estate.
Gotcha. So you retired 2017, then you said, I'm going to give it a shot again at real estate, and I know. I can't. What year did we sell you that thing out in Desert Hot? Was it
been 2 years?
2 years. So,
yeah.
Oh, really?
So,
I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2017 hit. What'd you do first?
It's kind of, I have the imposter feeling all the time about being a real estate investor, because when I was working, I had what they call it, a 503B, I think, or something like that. That's like the 401k, for working for the county and stuff. And we had deferred comp. So through the years, 27 years, I saw that money take hits, from the stock market, a couple different times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm going to rely on that in retirement, I don't want it when I'm retired. I don't want it to be taking hits like that, like it did while I was still working. So I pulled all that money out of the 401k out of the stock market, and I put it into a house.
Nice.
And along with that is, use my last check with vacation, sick leave. I used that to get into my first house that I was going to rent to my son-in-law.
Was going to.
Well, I did rent it.
Okay. Right.
I rented it, but to my son-in-law. So,
okay.
That's the imposter feeling. I'm renting it. I treat them as tenants. Of course, I still didn't have any formal training. I knew landlord-tenant laws from enforcing them. And so that's what and I'm glad I did. I mean, it was a good time. 2017, I think, is when we bought it, and it's tripled in value, because
very good.
Along with my primary residence.
So you just bought it cash, or?
No, but I did have to put down a big down payment so they could afford to pay me the mortgage. So normally I know you don't, I even forget how much it was, but it was close to 30%. I put down payment just so they could afford to pay me the mortgage.
So they could only afford a certain amount of rent.
Yes.
And then you wanted to not be upside down.
Yes.
So you put enough down to.
And again, then I didn't know about, vacancies and CapEx and.
But you already had them lined up to live in it.
Yes.
Before you even got it. So,
yes.
But that's smart, man. I mean, instead of, because I'm sure there's families out there, people with kids that are in the same, position, and you said it was your son-in-law?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and most people maybe would just be like, oh, well, maybe I'll help them pay a little bit of their rent, but that doesn't go anywhere. That doesn't get any, it doesn't build any wealth, just paying somebody else's mortgage, right?
Right.
So I like that, so you figured out a way to.
Yeah. And I took my money out of the stock market, put it into a house, and I was renting to my son-in-law. So I felt pretty secure, with that. And then I let them sublet one of the rooms to another one of my daughters.
Oh.
So, and they have 2 kids now. So they're in the house. My 2 grandkids live in the house, and my other daughter, their aunt lives with them in the house and helps them. And that's pretty much the only way they can afford paying me rent is subletting to my other daughter. And
they take care of the place. They're paying the rent. You haven't had any issues.
Yeah. The only thing with the rent, and I have raised the rent a couple times. Not like it's definitely below market, but I lost my train of thought there.
They're covering the rent to take care of the place.
Yes. That's it. Nowadays, the only thing they really don't cover is the CapEx. When I put in all the stuff, percentage for regular maintenance, for vacancy, but when CapEx, it's out of my pocket, and I know, but it's my grandkids.
Yeah, I mean, but you're, fortunately, and you're in California, so where's it at?
It's in Hemet.
Hemet, yeah. So I mean, Hemet's coming up, so
yeah,
I think appreciation's gonna.
They got a new houses coming up. Yeah, new houses getting built out there.
Right on. So you have that one, and then the one that we sold you, right?
Yeah, in Desert Hot Springs.
So right on. And I saw on Facebook you had posted in the members group that. So tell me about what happened with this air conditioner. Let's all learn from it.
Well, I guess the owners prior to you, because you guys owned it for 6 months before I bought it from you, they put in a wall air conditioning unit.
Like built like those window units, but they just cut a hole in the wall and stuck it in there. Okay.
Yeah. So they've had it. It's about 6 years that she's had it, and with this heat, these last couple of weeks of heat, she let me know, hey, this air conditioner doesn't seem to be working very well. I'm really burning up, and I've been there before this. I've been out there and helping her with stuff, rebuilding a toilet. I rebuilt her toilet. And doing other stuff to keep it maintained, and noticed it was pretty warm, So that's one thing I could handle, weatherizing that place a little bit better. But yeah, so it got really bad. And I said, well, we're always in communication because this is actually a pretty hands-on tenant. Yeah.
She's elderly, if I remember right.
Yes, she's elderly, Section 8, and so been hands-on ever since I bought it from you. And so she said, well, it's really hot. And then so I knew it's been there a while. And then I called some air conditioning units. I said, hey, do you guys service these?
Yeah, they won't touch them.
Yeah, they don't touch them. They only do the, the, what do they call it? The big AC stuff.
They probably call them the real ACs.
Yeah. And so I asked, one of them that actually called me back, I said, well, you know what, how long do these things usually last? And they go 5 or 6 years,
Especially being run
because you can't. The big thing is you can't put more Freon into them. I thought for me, I thought, oh, maybe I just need to get more Freon put in it, like a regular air conditioning unit, and no, once it's done, it's done. They can't put in more Freon.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so I said, okay, well, it's 6 years old, it's burning up. So I went ahead and ordered one, and found somebody through the club. I made a contact, somebody that could install it for me, because none of the companies wouldn't come out service it. Well, they won't install them either. So you had to find a handyman or a local contractor that can do that for you.
You wouldn't want to pay HVAC guy rates anyways to slap one of those in.
Yeah, but I did, I was trying to get some estimates and see what it was going to cost to get it done. And I was just going to put another one in, So I shopped around. I knew I had some pictures of it. I should have went and measured it, like one of the other members put in the post. You want to make sure to, I should have went and measured it to get the exact measure, because I ordered something, got it delivered, and then made the contact with the contractor. He went out there. So I was kind of proud of myself. I was doing all this, remote, because it's an hour and 15 minutes away for me to get out to the property. And I was just going, well, give her a new air conditioner, and move on. And so he goes and checks it out. He goes, well, number one, this air conditioner is way too big for for this job. It's the same model or same make, but, as pointed out from one of our members, it could be the same air conditioner, but every year they change dimensions, they change something about them, So you really have to know the exact size that you're looking for when you're buying a replacement. But anyway, and then I didn't hear from him, so I called my tenant. It had been hours, and I'm like, hey, how's that? How's it going with the air conditioner? I go, oh, he's come and gone. He showed me that I had it at 91 degrees, and he showed me how to adjust it. I had it adjusted wrong.
On the old one?
On the old one, the current one. So she was trying to adjust it, and she adjusted it improperly, and she had it at 91 degrees.
Okay.
And that's why
why it was warm?
That's why it was warm in there.
Okay, that makes sense.
And she leaves the window open because her rationale, and I tried to talk to her about it before. I knew, but she has her own reasoning for keeping the window open. So it was worth having the contractor go and talk to her.
Yeah.
Because he once he realized that she had the air conditioner adjusted wrong, he went around, shut all the windows, shut all the blinds, and waited and let her feel it started cooling off.
Yeah.
And so he gave her the little, the little 411.
Yeah.
This is how you adjust your air conditioner. You have to keep your windows shut so the cold air just doesn't leave. It's got to.
Is she paying electric or do you?
She does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it still makes the thing run harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the air conditioner was fine.
It's fine. So we're good.
Oh, good.
We're good.
All right.
I did have to drive out there, pick up the new air conditioner and return it. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that was fun.
All right. Yeah. I didn't keep up on the whole story. I was like, I thought you put in a new one and then the other one was fine.
I just say just another adventure.
Yeah. Right on. Well, adventure. When you're ready, if it does go out in the future, the 1-ton mini splits, how much was the new unit that you bought?
It was $550.
$550. So, and then how much you think that guy was going to charge you if he had to adjust it and?
Oh, it was at $100.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, but he said he would raise more. Yeah, if it was a straight swap, $100. But he said if he had to open it, the frame anymore to put it in, he would have to. He'd have to let me know what it was going to cost at that point.
Okay, it's probably a few $100 at that point.
But he said, he would have. He said there was no way he would have had to cut framing and stuff to support and stuff to try the one I bought.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you know this or if people are listening. You can get 1 ton, just you don't have to run a 220 line or anything that runs off 110. You can get a 1 ton mini split installed for like $1,000, and they run way more efficiently than those wall or window ones, and they're also a lot quieter too. So, excuse me, if you do have to get to that point sometime in the future, you're doing another, you can pick up another house that doesn't have air. Those mini splits are super easy to slap in, and they're really cost effective. So, they're not the, if you go to the HVAC guys and order them, they're like $3,000, but there's people that'll do them for a lot cheaper. So, that's what I've been doing. If I need air, or, because we used to do the same thing. We would cut the, out, especially like out in the desert and stuff. Before we found out you could get mini splits installed so cheaply, we do the same thing. We'd cut get the big, 220 AC units and just put one in the, in the wall or something like that. And then, I mean, it works, but.
Well, and then she told me, because he said an option, because the one unit doesn't cool down the whole house the way it's positioned. He goes, but you might put a second one in the back bedroom, but then I was talking to my tenant, and she goes, oh, we tried that when I got in here, and it blew the circuit breaker, because he said, and then he told me, the contractor told me, it'd probably blow the old fuse box, to put a second one in. And then my tenant told me, yeah, we tried it already, and it blew the fuses.
Well, at least if she's keeping the windows drawn and or windows shut and the blinds drawn. Yeah, I had the same thing happen, with my with some new residents that moved in to one of my houses in the mountains, and they were brand new to the area. It was, and it's been getting hotter up there during the summer. It used to be only a couple days of heat. Now it's turned into a couple weeks. Where it's rough, and but I was like, you gotta, if you leave all the windows open and stuff during the day, you gotta. Basically, it's like you gotta open up all the windows at night, let it cool out, let it cool down, and then close everything, before it starts heating up, and it'll at least help. I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect, but it'll at least help versus just leaving it open, all through the day and letting all the hot air in, and so
yeah, and because a lot of places in the mountains don't have air conditionings because of that, because it cools down so well.
Yeah, I mean, by the time 5 o'clock hits. It usually cools off, but that that hasn't been happening as much. It's like sticking around more. So I know air conditioning is going to be that's why we've been putting in these mini splits in some places is they're a little more cost effective. They run a lot more efficiently. Those window units just eat electricity. Not that the mini splits don't either, but they're a lot more efficient. What I don't know is the longevity of them. I don't know.
I mean, the last experience I had was as a kid growing up, and we had one of those, and we'd have to stand right next to it to cool off during the days, in Southern California. Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I know they use them like crazy. When I was in Europe and Greece a few years ago, they were everywhere. They don't really have central AC there. It's just they have, everything's mini splits, and they seem like they work pretty dang well. My brother put one into his garage, and he just, I think it's like the coolest part of the house. He's got central on the main house, and then his garage has a mini split. The mini split runs better than the central. So, but well, right on. I mean, it's we're gonna keep dealing with it more and more. As it gets warmer around here, and it seems like it's, if it's not warmer, it's like the heat sticking around longer. Then we might get a wave of like a couple days. Now it feels like those heat waves are lasting like a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So right on. So what, Mike, like what, I mean, you're retired, you got a pension, so financial independence wise, I mean,
that's what, it's kind of difficult for me to doing it this way. I have my pensions, but I have some bad debt, so if I had my pension and didn't have the bad credit card debt, then I wouldn't need, I'd be financial, free or financial independent, but, and I wouldn't worry about the real estate as much, but I still worry about it because I always think about what can happen down the road. They can reduce.
Too many stories of people losing their pension.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting wiped out.
If you don't lose it, you can still get reductions, stuff like that. And
just because it's the county too doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the first thing they go
It's
after.
definitely not something I want to happen, but the real estate is what I'm trying to use as a backup.
Right on. Right on. Now, which is cool. And why real estate? Like, was there anything specific, or like? Cause I mean, you said you took it out. You didn't trust the stocks.
Yeah,
or,
I don't like the stock market. Even when I retired, I mean, I was watching a YouTube thing, and they were saying about how there's some dabblers out there, and I was identifying that. I kind of seems to feel like I've been dabbling, and trying to see what works for me, what I like, that investor DNA, my tolerance level and what kind of things I enjoy. Well, I'm not a trader. I tried the stock market just for a little bit, playing with it, and I'm not gonna.
We all did.
I mean, I'm good. I like the old fashioned, buy it and let it sit and ignore it, But then I saw it wasn't working for me, comfort wise, with my deferred comp 401 type thing, So real estate was the next best thing to try, and it's benefiting, if I can benefit my family and while still making an investment and letting it build, that's
absolutely.
good.
I mean, it's long-term wealth, right?
Yes.
And even if you're not, making a ton of cash flow or anything on the house that your family's living in, I mean, you're still building wealth.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I mean, you don't plan on the appreciation, but we just got lucked out these last cycle here with the appreciation.
Well, I mean, I know you weren't at Pete's class this weekend, but like one of the, in Pete's mind and, other people too is there really isn't appreciation there. Yes, neighborhoods become more desirable. There is an element to appreciation, but a lot of appreciation that we see is them just diluting the money supply. It's really just like, it's like inflation, of the dollar. And, so that's why you want to own hard assets and, stuff like that, and not depreciating assets, so, so I'm sure there, somewhere in the middle there is where, I mean, things do get more valuable, areas become more desirable and stuff. So I'm sure there is real appreciation in there, but there's also a lot of false appreciation, I guess. That's just, and it's worth having, So, I mean, I know that I haven't been hanging on to properties that long, probably most of mine are more just the inflationary appreciation. So I'm not really, I think there was like a meme that got posted on Facebook or something. And I don't remember what it was, but it was one of those ones. It basically was like, your appreciation's not really appreciation, it's inflation or something like that. And it was like, you're probably right. So, but anyways, whether it goes up because they're inflating the money supply, or it really goes up because it's becoming more desirable. Either way, I'm good with it. It's worth having. So, what do you want to like? Do you have a goal marked out? Is there like a plan? Do you want 5 houses after 20?
I like the philosophy of the small and mighty real estate investor. If I could just get a solid 5.
Did you read the book?
I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that Chad Carson?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And I actually met him in person at a Bigger Pockets conference.
Oh, right on.
Went to a little meetup.
Shout out to Coach Carson there.
Yeah. I love his stuff. I love his philosophy.
Yeah, he's good. I think he learned a lot. He's a student of John Schaub. And,
yes, he is.
Some of the other Jack Miller.
I even talked to John Schaub when we had him here at the club, and I mentioned him.
Oh, good.
They both claim each other very proudly. I
love that book. I just recently read that book, and it took like so many concepts and just made it real easy. Like it
was almost a complete guide. I mean, I already read a lot of stuff, but he just puts it all into one book, and easy to understand process that he did. And I'm not a Grant Cardone. I don't want to do 10x. I'm not comfortable with 10x. I'd just be the small and mighty. 5 rental properties. If you can get some of them or all of them paid off at one time eventually. I still got another 20 years that I can take to get these rental properties and start paying them off.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
For sure.
but
Right on.
I'm not against the keeping the mortgages either. You know,
So is 5 the magic number? Or you have a cash flow target in mind, or?
I don't. I've played around with some numbers and stuff. I mean, when I first did it, my first number was just 5,000 cash flow from real estate investing a month would be good for my little security blanket.
Yeah.
you
After
know?
everything's done, like
Yeah.
paid, just 5,000
Yeah,
profit. Okay.
profit.
That'd be nice.
But now I'm still happy with that one, actually. I think that one would still, but ideally, if I wanted to use the real estate to have a more security blanket, I think 10,000 a month of
You're gonna be living large.
cash flow. Yeah.
You want the Lambo?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my why is just to be able to fund family stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about just travel and family, and I haven't been able to do much of travel, so
Right on.
but
Right on. Yeah, 5,000 seems to be maybe not the magic number, but a common number that I think when people really boil down their expenses and their goals and how they would want to live their life, you know, with something that's they don't have to give up their life to achieve, you know, is most people I think somewhere fall around that number. That was pretty much my number, you know, was, well, I could do a lot with 5,000 a month, you know, not having to, and be able to do whatever I want.
And that's kind of hard with me with my why, trying to keep my why really strong, you know, for me to keep motivated to look for those deals, you know, and it wobbles because I have a good pension and I can do, I can't do everything I want. So that's the one thing. I mean, I can meet my obligations.
Yeah. So the pension covers the bills, but it doesn't leave you a whole lot.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right on. Are you signed up for the goals workshop in September?
No. Have you put out the open? Is it opened up?
I did over the weekend. That was when I first announced it. So yeah, it's gonna be September 21st and 22nd. I think I'm calling it a goal shop. I feel like the workshop.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
wanna
that's
work
why
on the
I
weekend.
like the Wednesday evening that you cover the you know the mindset because that's definitely I'm fighting the mindset almost every day.
Yeah,
you know,
we all are
to do it.
You know, it's tough to stay in this long term. Like it's I'd like to say it gets easier, but it also gets harder in a lot of ways. You know, especially that trying to keep that lifestyle creep under control and your spending and expenses and all that stuff. So and things change. Things change. So but yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna love to have you there. It's gonna be focused on a lot of what we're talking about is dialing in that fire number, or writing out your why, setting up those goals. Like, do you want to work 10 hours a week over the next 5 years and get 5 houses, or you want to 50 hours a week and get them all this by the end of next year, kind of thing. Like so we're going to talk about that stuff and really
it's like your
mind
mindset is me staying focused on real estate because I'll see a job opportunity. I'm on LinkedIn and I'll see a job opportunity. I'm like, I can do that. I'm like, why am I looking at a job if I want to put forth my energy? I need to be able to switch and put my energy towards real estate and take action. That's the thing, is taking action. I'm looking at listings all the time, but taking action on those things, I really haven't been doing that.
Gotcha. So do you want to, because you have the one in Hemet, right?
Yeah, I got the one rental in Hemet and then the one rental out there in Desert Hot Springs. I'm not making money off either one.
Okay.
But they're not dragging me down.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it was one of the questions I asked Pete too. This when he was out here was like, hey, because I the first few rental properties I bought, the first 2 rental properties I got, cash flow fantastically. The next 2 I bought don't, and then the one I got after that definitely doesn't, but it covers itself. Like they're covering their own bills, and I was sitting with Caitlin. I was like, I can't keep, my goal is cash flow. It's not appreciation, and it's I need cash flow. So I can't keep putting tens of thousands of dollars in to acquire property and then not have any cash flow, and or very little. Right. Which if you're having very little cash flow, you're not really cash flow. the maintenance and
Yeah, one turnover, one
yeah,
maintenance.
exactly. It's
yeah.
gonna just eat you. So, um, so, uh, but I was asking Pete. And I was like, and he basically was like, as long as it's getting covered, as long as they're covering the the bills are covered, and somebody else is paying down that mortgage, for you essentially. He said I would have been. This is Pete. He would have been more aggressive in his younger years, buying more houses and more properties that did that, rather than just focusing on cash flow. And I was like, okay.
Another question I'm asking myself is between, my rental one's a house, okay, which I'm totally familiar with. I've been a homeowner for years, and then the other one would be in a mobile home. And to compare, I just don't feel like the mobile home just making ends meet is as well as a house making ends meet.
As far as from a tenant perspective, or
no, from a longevity appreciation play, I guess, and just lasting. I just see being able to hold on to a house longer than a mobile home.
So okay, and I feel you. Like there's I was just having this conversation with somebody not too long ago. There's another member that he's really focused on just buying, because the Desert Hot Spring ones was on land, right?
Yes,
it came to the land.
Came to the land, yeah.
So he's focused on just grabbing up more mobile homes that are on land versus houses, and he's been this guy's done a lot of houses over the years, and the rationale there is they all break down. They all fall apart. They all eventually you got to fix them all, and whether it's the roof or the whatever. And when it comes to if you own the land, because it's the land that appreciates, it's not really the house, it's the land underneath. So, and the rationale he's going with is, let me make sure I can understand this right, but it is, so he's targeting more mobile homes on land, and with the idea that if, in 30, 40 years or 20, 30 years, whenever, like if that mobile home gets bad enough, you just pull it off and roll another one right on.
Yeah.
And, even if you have to borrow or get a loan to roll that on, now you got a brand new house.
I wonder if you feel different between when you say land, there's a plot of land, but then like in my situation, it's land within a mobile home park. So just really with that one lot, is it when you're, wanting to buy something on land, do you feel that regular land plot,
I think you definitely want to,
than inside a park,
yeah, I think in any situation, yeah, I mean your own parcel. If the park is just a park in like kind of name, and they're just maintaining the grounds a little bit, but you actually own the plot. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I wouldn't walk away from a house just because that was, that's what it was. As long as I don't remember that specific one. I wasn't too involved in that, on the acquisition. I don't even think I ever saw that house. So
yeah, it's actually like a condominium thing broke up into like 166 spaces, and you own,
yep,
this.
And you still pay a
section.
Little bit of a space. It's not like space rent. It's
HOA.
It's an HOA.
It does have an HOA.
How much is it a month?
$195.
$195.
Yeah.
As long as that HOA didn't get out of control.
It went up $45 last year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it was cheaper.
A lot of those you could maybe pass on. I think with that one, you're still dealing with the, the Section 8 and the
But that's one reason I bought it too, is because of that Section 8. I wanted to educate myself on it, that's one of the benefits I've gotten internally from buying that purchase from you guys, is because it was a Section 8, and I wanted to learn the process.
Gotcha.
And which I have, and I like it.
Yeah, there are people that do use that as a whole. They just do Section 8 housing. I haven't really. Not that I haven't accepted it. I've just never really had like serious applicants that were in Section 8. So, but yeah, I think buying mobile homes on land, that you can is a pretty good strategy. I mean, like I said, because when you fix up that 1930s house, it's still a 1930s house, unless and it's only got, so much insulation and blah, all that stuff degrades, or they get better ways of building and all that. So, some of these lots where you can get, maybe you could get, after 20, 30 years or whatever, the lot's paid off, and now, the mobile home's done on it, and you just rip that thing off and put in a brand new one. Maybe you get a little bit of a loan on it, but now you're still cash flowing, and now it has the appeal of it's a brand new house.
Yeah.
So like I said, I haven't done it yet. I'm actually buying one on land out in Paris. That I just opened up escrow yesterday, actually. So and it's old. It's it's got a 1969
Well, yeah.
Trailer on it. It's tied to the land like before 433 was a thing. So and or actually, I don't know that for sure. I don't know. The way it's written on title is not the way I really see a 433.
Now that I have I have a mobile home and I own the land, they're not tied together. So what is that code?
It's the 433. So it's I think I can't remember if it's a state thing or it's a federal thing, but it's essentially what ties that you can turn. It's what takes a mobile home from being a trailer and ties it to the property as real property. So now you're getting taxed on it as real property, not just. So you basically now
personal property
instead of personal property, correct? So whereas you probably have a tax, the mobile home's probably registered to HCD.
Yes,
their titles with HCD, which is the Housing Community Development or whatever it is. They handle that. When it transfers over. Like when you get a 433 designation and you get that and you go through that process, then it's all like it's a house, like a real house sitting on the.
Okay, because now I'm dealing with two entities.
Yeah,
to keep it all.
But to do that, it's we've done it a couple times. It's usually around like $5,000. You have there's companies that specialize in it. They come out and they really just they reinforce the foundation and kind of. It's almost like they're bolting it to the land.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's got to be attached to the land. And that's a big difference on
physically and
financing.
It is. That's the biggest.
By that.
That is the biggest benefit to doing it, because then once it becomes tied to the land as like real property, then people can get FHA and regular bank loans on it.
Right.
And that really ups the value on it. So like this one we did.
Really helps with your buyer's pool when you try to sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because now they're not just trying to get a personal property loan. They're they can get a real loan anywhere, a bank loan anywhere. So it really opens up, because the few companies that do loans on mobile homes, either in parks or on land or whatever, that are just lending on the trailer basically, it's like buying a house, but there's not like the right it's more it can be difficult.
Yeah.
It's so I'd much rather deal with, which is shocking. I'd much rather just deal with the bank.
Whereas most people don't want to deal with the banks.
I'd much rather deal with just a regular FHA loan, because then it's regulated, like, because you're buying it as a house. The appraisers have to get back to you in a certain amount of time. They have to get docs done in a certain amount of time. There has to be certain disclosures. Blah blah blah, and all that is very streamlined. But when it's not an FHA loan or a regular loan, and it's still just a personal property loan, all that goes out the window. The appraisers take forever. The escrows are longer. So, and again, your value, your buyer pool is bigger. So, that one we did when we tied it to the land out in, we 433'd it out in Apple Valley. We got way more money for it than we would have if we would have just left it, So, but there's
there's pros and cons with all. That's one of the things about real estate, is that there's so much out there, so many different things to do with it. And I already said from my careers, I love the variety of the different jobs I have. So I'm trying to learn the variety of the real estate too, and find which one really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Which one do I really want to go off on? I wanted. My plan was have a house, a rental house, a rental mobile home. Get a vacation home and Airbnb it when I'm not using it, and then get like a fourplex, and make that my one of everything. But and then they go, well, that's a lot of stuff to learn.
It is. It is. They're not wrong.
All the different ones.
It's like I did the same thing. I went down the short-term rental route and then the mid-term rental route, and I just do long-term now. I just it's what I know. It's what works. It's mostly hands off. For the most part. But there's like even on the mobile home stuff, there's so many strategies there. I mean, buying stuff in parks and then owner financing them out, and they're like what Andy does with the mobile homes on land that aren't tied to the land. He'll basically sell the trailer and keep the land, and he'll just charge people like a
land lease,
a land rent, basically.
Right.
And then that way, you're not responsible for anything to do with the trailer. Toilet goes out, it's on them. Kind of thing. So, but you're probably cash flowing less, but your headaches are less maybe too. So, it all depends. It's just there's, like you said, there's so many strategies you can do. It's just what interests you, kind of thing, and what, because people try and find that niche of maybe what the other people aren't doing, and if you become an expert in that, then people look for you, So, right on. So what do you think the next purchase is? Like, what are you looking for?
Well, I'm watching both. I'm watching mobile homes and homes. I mean, my buy box, is just everybody's buy box is like, a 3.2, 1,200 to 1,500 square foot. But it's rough going. I mean, I can find them out there, but I'm not. I don't get out there to look for those. I should be driving for dollars. I know what I should be doing, but actually taking the action and doing it to go find those deals. And again, that's because trying to make my why stronger to make me do it instead of just being comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Do you still have contacts in the sheriff's office? You stay in touch with people?
A few.
Because I could see that as being like a, like a lead source, honestly. If there's still some people in there, like, hey, I help people solve problems. I deal with this, evictions or whatever. Like, I'm sure they know of, people that are, hey, I just, I don't know if they can tell you this, but like, hey, we just did an eviction over there. The house is in rough shape. The owner's about to lose it. Give you a heads up on that kind of stuff. And see if you can help. That's the only way. That's what I think that's what I'd be doing if if I still knew people in that. It's kind of you'd be surprised where things come from. As far as I'm not saying go chase ambulances or anything like that. It just there's always problems out there. And then we're just trying to solve them. So.
Yeah, and that's the part that gets with me is being the problem solver. I mean, that's been my careers, is helping people and being able to solve problems. And so that's the part of the one of the things I liked about this club, because I have in 2017 when I started wanting to do real estate, I looked at some different clubs, and I really love your guys' philosophy, where they're trying to help somebody out of a problem. We're not trying to take advantage of anybody. It's got to benefit both of us, or it's not a deal.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly. I just had this conversation with, they were like, well, what can you do? I'm like, well, let's talk about what do you guys want? Like what's important to you? And then we'll work, figure out a way to, it's not, if I want the house really cheap and I want you to carry the money, but that's not gonna, that's not gonna happen every time. So, it's working backwards from like you said, like what they want, what they need. So, and some people just need an out. A way to start over, or whatever it is, and some people just need a little bit of help. It's just there's all kinds of problems in between. So, yeah. So, all right, Mike. Well, we're running out of time here, so it's been great having you on here. I'm excited to hear about your background and see what you keep doing. And thank you for coming on the show. If people want to, maybe they're neck in the woods, or they want to talk shop with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, well, I'm on LinkedIn under my name, and I also have my LLC, MD Investing LLC, is connected to me on LinkedIn. And then I'm on Facebook just under Michael Driever.
All right. Sounds good. Well, if you want to find out more about Mike, go ahead and, like you said, go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, or just come out to the Fire Center here. If you want to learn more about our events, we do like 2 to 3 events a week. You can check us out at firecenterhq.com. And this has, of course, been the Fire Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Rice. You can check us out if you want to get on the show, firechatpodcast.com. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at FireRichRice. So, Mike, thanks again, man. It's been good having you. And we'll see you out there. See you on the next one, everybody. Take care.